Good afternoon, and welcome to AERA's Interactive Presentation Gallery Demonstration.
Welcome, everyone. We are really so pleased to have so many of you both interested in the Interactive Presentation Gallery and interested in learning how to transform and build upon your work, in particular, the papers that were accepted for the 2020 AERA annual meeting, and continue the conversation from that work in an interactive mode that will permit and support your networking during this time with respect to your current work and communicating and connecting to scholars worldwide with similarly situated interests. While we will be particularly orienting this webinar to the kind of how-tos and how do you do it, let me assure you, not only as your executive director, whether you're a member of AERA or not, but as a colleague in the field, that this is an easy lift. This will not only put your presentations that you might have given in the 2020 annual meeting or in future annual meetings or other convenings that we plan and schedule with colleagues in education research from around the world, but it will also give you the kind of background of what it means to participate in the interactive presentation gallery. So you'll get a mix of the how-tos and a mix of the vision of this. But if you previously found your modality of presentation to be PowerPoints, or your preferred modality is a handout at a round table at our meeting or other meetings, or the use of a poster session, this is bringing into a much more dynamic mode of presentation, one that you lead and drive, and that the attendees, the users, those who see your work can also participate with you. So there are many features that we will be emphasizing today. I want to say the reason why we are emphasizing the 2020 presentations or papers that had been accepted in our annual meeting program for this past April is that whether you were going to give a paper at a symposia or in a paper session or in a round table or at a poster session, whether or not you put your paper in the online paper repository, and over 5,000 papers will be released in our online paper repository. This is a companion opportunity. It's taking something that had been designed for poster presentations at annual meetings, and it's working with one of the most creative developers that we could have encountered to take this to a step and stage where you, with your work, with your papers, starting with the papers for our 2020 meeting, can engage in creating a presentation that you might have otherwise done in another modality. But this mode of being in our gallery, which will be an openly accessible product for 2020, this mode of presenting in our gallery will offer you the opportunity not only of narrating your work. You will see narrating your slides, putting up animation or photos with different kinds of templates, more or less complex, that meets your needs. But you will also have the opportunity to schedule chats over essentially a 6-week or 8-week period after the gallery opens. You will have an opportunity to schedule in synchronous time, Zoom, or other kinds of meetups in real time. And during this period, actively engage with others who will engage with your work and also share your interests. So we see this as seeing an opportunity for presentation, really an opportunity for meeting up. So we'll move to the how-tos, but this context, we hope, kind of energizes you with the excitement of what this additionally offers beyond what we would have envisioned, however difficult the COVID-19 pandemic is in the United States and worldwide, and however challenged we remain. This has also been an opportunity to think through new modalities of using technology, using our own capacities and creativity to connect, to interact, and to collaborate together. So I'm going to ask Robert Smith, who's my partner in so many of these inventive opportunities and our director of meetings, to both move us to the demonstration part of this activity, and we will have lots of time for Q&A after we do the presentation of the interactive presentation creation. So I won't say hold your questions, go into the chat or into the Q&A. You can see we have ASL throughout this session. For those who would also like or preferred closed captioning, just go to the bottom of your screen, and closed captioning is also being provided by AERA. And with that background and context, let me turn it over to my good colleague, Robert Smith.
Good afternoon and welcome to this demonstration. This is a preview for you to see what is coming ahead, not just for what we did for 2020 and what you can still do for 2020, but also 2021 and beyond, because we'll be using the system for posters on site when we resume our place-based meetings in 2022 and in San Diego. So this gives you a little bit of a jump, not just for 2021, but also for 2022. So today, Rick Rudaski is going to walk us through a number of different things, logging into your account, navigating the system, how to create the session, as Felice mentioned, adding narration, the chat options, and then posting it. It's just very simple sort of overview of how to do this. And as Felice said, the system is very easy to use and very intuitive. It's actually easier than putting together a PowerPoint. We'll have time for questions, and then we'll talk about the timeline from here and other opportunities and the deadlines. So with that, I'm gonna, Felice, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, I think we should go for it right now.
Okay, with that, I'd like to introduce Rick Rudaski. He's the CEO of iPoster and Amuse, and he's going to walk us through our demonstration today. Hi, Rick. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you, Robert. Thanks, Felice, and I'm happy to take you on a guided tour of the system. If you have nothing more to add, I'll just share my screen and we'll start the tour.
That sounds great, Rick. Take care.
Okay, thanks. Okay, everybody. Here we go. I'll also turn my video off so that you can focus on the screen and save a little bandwidth here. So what I'm going to do is just start by showing you some examples of what interactive presentations are and what can be created using our system. And then we'll go back and I'll show you some of the ways in which you can create these presentations. What you're looking at right now is the interactive presentation gallery. And this is still a work in progress. There are authors in, possibly even as we speak, creating their presentations. And when you have logged into your template and clicked on your publish button, that's when the posters will appear on this screen. This is going to develop over the next couple of weeks. But the idea is that meeting participants will be able to scroll through the posters like this, click on posters that interest them. We're going to have some drop-down menus here, filters that will allow you to zero in on different topics and different units of AERA. But I'll show you a couple of good examples of posters that have been created so far. This is a really nice one. There are, one of the first things you'll see on an iPoster is that as opposed to a PowerPoint or a PDF, when you click on a content box like this, it'll open up and you can scroll through the content. So there's no limit to the amount of content you can add to your interactive presentation. You can add as much text as you feel is necessary, as many images, as many videos as you like. When you see an image when your visitors see an image that they want to look at, they'll click on it and the images will expand to fill the screen. So one of the things I want you to think about in adding images is make them as large as possible so that when clicked upon, they will indeed fill the screen. The size of an iPoster screen is 1920 by 1080 pixels. That's high definition format. So as much as you can approach that size, it'll be great. You don't have to worry about the images fitting within the content boxes here, because they'll automatically reduce in size while in the box, but then they'll expand when clicked upon outside of the box. As you can see here, video is a format. There's a lot of video in this poster. When your visitors click on the video, it will play, and you can also expand it to fill the screen.
So, la manera en que nosotros estamos investigando es una manera que yo no pensé que yo cuando apenas
So use videos. They're great for demonstrations. They're great for interviews. And they're great even for presentations. We'll find authors who do a video of themselves presenting their poster. One of the things that Felice mentioned, which is really important and useful, especially now that we're into virtual conferences, but even on site or in hybrid conferences, is the ability to add a narration. So I'll just play this right now and then talk a little bit about it. But there's a general narration button that you can add when you're in your template, and it will allow you to present your poster as a whole.
Hi, bienvenida. Vendo. My name is Dr. Lori Santamaria. Welcome to our presentation, Sustainable Mixteco Indígena Research, Methodology toward Equal Status Stakeholder and Indigenous Collaboration.
Let me just pause it there. With the general narration, you can take your visitors through your poster and allow them to follow you as you describe the various components of your presentation. So I'm just going to open some content boxes while listening to this to give you an idea of what you can do.
I work with a team comprised of Adriana Diego, Liliana Manriquez, Doña Berta Salazar, Claudia Lozano, Luisa León Salazar, and Silvia Garcia Aguilar. We work on behalf of the Mixteco Indígena community organization.
I'll just stop it there, but you can use it for a blow-by-blow tour of your presentation if you'd like, taking people through each of the content boxes. You can also use a narration as a way of framing your research and just presenting a general view, adding context to what otherwise would be very specific points within your content boxes. Down here in the lower right, this is a slideshow function that we have in the presentations. There are two of the templates, and I'll show you that have this ability. The slideshows will run on their own, they'll loop on their own, but you can also pause them either as a presenter, if you're going to be doing a live session or perhaps a chat, and then just click through the posters yourself using these controls. And you can load up as many images that you like. The images that we allow within the interactive presentations are either JPEG, PNG, or GIF. Those are the three image formats. You can't load a PDF into an iPoster directly. If you have a PDF image, then what you'll need to do is transfer it to JPEG or PNG. Just do an export. Most browsers will give you that option of saving it in another format. So JPEG, PNG, big images, that's the message there. Use videos. Here's another one, or here's a whole array of them. And again, there's really no limit to how much you can add. play the video, go to full screen.
Nyanyi jaaviu lajo o isaba chanyo konta ya njiba inyo anchi injiba inyo tatu tiempo yo.
You can also use closed captioning. Most of the browsers, modern browsers, will allow for closed captioning. So I won't get it started in this, but it is available in all the major browsers. There are a number of buttons here you'll see that you can add to add additional context to your presentation. Author information is one of the buttons. Full multimedia capabilities in here also. And here the author has used external links. It's another thing that you can do with an interactive presentation. Link to any website anywhere that has any additional information that you like. Could be live data sets, could be that you link to citations, to sources. Here's a link and it'll open in a new tab to some more information. Stuff that you maybe don't want to include directly in your iPoster, but will give your visitors the opportunity to understand more about what you're presenting. References, another thing you can add. A lot of people will have, if they're online references on other websites, you can use the external links here also. So this is just a really nice example of making a lot of good use of the multimedia tools. Videos, large images, and audio files and external links. Here is another presentation that takes another tack on using a narration. In the first, the one that we just looked at, there was a general narration for the entire poster. In this particular poster, the authors have done really granular presentations, narrations within each of the content boxes. So I'll just open this and you click on the narration button here.
Hello and welcome to the presentation. My colleague Sue Nichols from the University of South Australia and myself, Chen Ilo from the National Institute of Education, Nanyang Technological University, Singapore, will be presenting on the topic, an active network analysis of libraries as informal learning spaces.
So that's the narration. Also, as you'll see, the audio function within the content boxes allows you to load up any kind of audio file. So you could not only do a narration, you might want to do an interview. It might be that in a lot of cases, and a video interview might be inappropriate because of privacy concerns, because your objects are a little shy and don't want to be in front of a video camera, but you can do a interview using the audio function. Most people who are doing narrations or interviews are using their mobile phones, and we have a guide to best practices of how to do that using a microphone. If you're going to be doing a narration, write a script. If you're going to be doing an interview, make sure that the microphone is placed correctly. Think about the acoustics. Don't do your interview on a busy street corner if possible. So you'll find that there's a lot of technical support that's available to you for just about anything you want to do with an iPoster, and in this case, specifically with narrations. I wanted to show you one other use. This actually wasn't from and isn't from the AERA conference. This is ACRL, but it's just a really nice, it shows some other uses of an iPoster. Here, just a really simple thing, you know, don't be afraid of humor. And this is a GIF. So the other image format that you're allowed to load beyond PNG and JPEGs are GIFs. Here's a link to an external website that actually has an inventory that you can use. This is an interactive piece on another website. It's not created within an iPoster, but again, you can link to anything on any website and it'll display through the iPoster. And this is a teaching style survey. where you go in and you answer questions, agree, moderately disagree, strongly agree, and stuff like that. So you can, I won't go through all of this, but at the end of the survey, you can score your survey, and here you can see the results of your teaching style. Anyway, you can link to online surveys, online anything, using the external link capabilities of the system. And again, you can just do some really nice things with video.
Communities of practice. Community of practice, as defined by Wenger Trainer 2015, is a group of learners who are in the...
So that's a little bit about what you can do, and I'm going to go over now to how you do it. Many of you have perhaps already logged in to your interactive presentation editor, and I will do so here also. And you come to the welcome page. Here are links to our tutorials, our quick guide, our FAQs. There's some privacy information here. We're pretty global, so one of the, we're also under the regulations, the GDPR, European Privacy Regulations. So here's information about that. Choose your presentation. If you've been authorized to produce more than one poster, you'll see them listed here with the poster title and the abstract ID. You click on the poster you want to begin with, and we have a choice of 9 different templates. And as Felice mentioned, no matter what kind of paper you were originally thinking of presenting with the interactive presentations here, I'm sure you can find a template that'll work for you. So we have templates that vary from 1 to 2 to 3 content boxes, 4 content boxes, a couple of examples, 5, 6. These are the 2 templates that will allow you to create slideshows. So I'm going to choose one of the slideshow templates, or one of the templates that include slideshows, to show you how you put together your poster. Your title is going to be preloaded, but down here you can enter your name and the names of your co-authors. I'm just going to type in a bunch of gobbledygook in here just to show you how you would add it. Here you add the titles of your content boxes, and I'll try and create some real words here. And I'll just do one more, but you get the idea. At any time, you can decide that you want to add some design to the poster, and here is the design presentation button. You can do really simple things like change the background colors. You can add a gradient. You can add colors to the content boxes, to the title fields here. You can change your title fonts. You can move this around to see what's going on. You can change the fonts here. And you can also decide that what you're doing you don't like, and you can return to default here. This will always take you back to the default function, and it'll remove any of the formatting that you've done here. I'm going to move this off to the side and move some content on here, so I can show you how you add content to your presentation. You can insert an image background. So you click on this, and all of the image work is drag and drop. So I've got a bunch of images over here, and I'll just take an image and drag it and drop it into the insert image box. And we have now the Milky Way in the background. To add content into the content boxes, you click on the box, click up here at the top, and you'll see what I'm sure is a pretty familiar editing toolbox up here. You can, if you wish, create your texts on the fly in here, but I'm sure that most of you are going to be copying and pasting from existing documents, from PowerPoints, from PDFs, from Word documents, from various websites. And that's what you do. You copy and paste. I have some junk text over here. I'll just copy it and paste it into the content box. I mentioned that there's no limit to the amount of content that you can add. And as soon as the content you have added exceeds the size of the content box, it becomes a scrolling box. So again, add as much content as you feel is necessary to present your research in the detail that it deserves. The formatting tools are the usual. You can bold it, you can italicize it, you can add some color to it. You can change the fonts. You can also change the font size, although we have a lower limit on the font size. I'm sure many of you who have been doing paper posters or PowerPoints have run across situations where you need to reduce the font size in order to get in as much content as you would like to include. But since these content boxes scroll and there's no limit to the content, you don't have to do that anymore. So we have a lower limit of 10 points for the font size. We recommend using between 10 and 12 points for your captions. 14 points is the standard font size. It's the default in all the content boxes. And that works really well on just about any internet connected device. And by the way, your poster is available on any internet connected device that has a browser. So you can view it on your on a mobile phone, on a tablet, or on a big screen. And this 14-point default size will work well on most of them. You can always increase the size, of course, and you can go much larger if you just want to have a subtitle or use something for emphasis. I should mention that when you copy and paste from other documents, what our system does is it removes all of the formatting. And there are a number of reasons for that. One is that often when copying and pasting from PDFs or other websites, there's a risk that there's some junk or even malicious code that follows with the formatting. And we want to scrub that because it could severely hinder your ability to really design the poster as you want. And the other reason is that if you are copying and pasting from multiple sources and there was formatting, it would be a really difficult job to unify the formatting. So we try and scrub it all, and you start over with uniform formatting for all of your texts. The multimedia tools for your interactive presentation are up here. Here's where you insert images, insert videos, insert sound files. So beginning with images, when you click on that, the insert image button will open. Again, images are drag and drop. I'll just drag an image in here and it's loaded. And what's happening is that as you do this, the images and all of your content really are being loaded up to our server and screened back again. So the posters are really dynamic. You can log in from any internet connected device, although we recommend a computer with a good sized screen. You're not stuck to one computer to be able to do it. Everything's online, everything's dynamic. We recommend that if you're going to be adding any kind of graphics, diagram, charts, or anything, that you export them from whatever program you use to create them, export them as an image file, either JPEG or PNG, and then add it to your poster as an image, because that means that these will expand like other images when clicked upon. So you can include a lot of detail in your graphics that way. You saw perhaps that Simpsons GIF in the last poster I showed you. GIFs are also image files that you can load. I don't have the Simpsons here, unfortunately, but Here is a GIF that'll give you an example of what you can do. So we've got the GIF in there now. Let's take a look at, add some text into this box also. And we'll take a look at the video function. Again, you put your cursor where you want the video to load. We recommend using one of two video platforms, either YouTube or Vimeo, and loading your images up there. You can't load a video directly onto an iPoster, but Vimeo and YouTube are excellent platforms. They're super fast. They have streaming servers everywhere. They can handle multiple video formats. And they also will give you keyframes so that, I'll show you what that means. We have a text tutorial on how to load up videos, also how to restrict access to the videos. If you don't want your video to be discoverable on either of the platforms, we'll show you how to do that so that it will only be displayed here on the iPoster. But to do a video, you click on the Insert Video button, and I have some videos here. You just copy the URL. Here's a video with a URL, and you place it in here in the content field, and now we've got a video there. Again, super fast. We recommend you use either of those two platforms. The internal narrations, a lot of people like to do that at the top, so I'll just add that up here. You place your cursor where you want the narration to go. This is the Add Video button. As I mentioned before, it need not be a narration. It could be an interview. It could be a documentation. But if it is a narration, then most people are doing it on their mobile phones, transferring it to their computers, and then you just drag and drop the audio file. In this case, it is a narration here, and then click OK, and now we have an audio file, a narration up here. There, I also mentioned the ability to link to external websites. That's using the link button here. You click on that, you mark the text or the image that you want to link to, and then you just go to the URL of the page you want to include there, drop that in here, and okie dokie, we have the link there. You might want to add some emphasis to it, make it bold, add a little color. So now we have an external link there. Let's take a look over here. This main toolbar, I'll get to all the functions here shortly, but you can also close it so that you can access the rest of your poster. The slideshow function is over here. You have a choice of either this box being a text field with exactly the same functionality as all of the other content boxes, or using the template settings button here, you can reset it and then choose to have an image slider or a slideshow. And that works just like any other content box. You click on the upload image button here, and then you drag and drop your images in here. You do this one at a time. So now we've got one image. I'll add another image, drag and drop it in, and we'll just add a third image. And let's add that over there. So now we've got images here. You can move them around if you want to change the order of the images. And well, now we've loaded a bunch of content, and I want to show you something else that we recommend. When you're looking at the poster this way, you're not seeing it the way people are going to, the way your visitors, your peers are going to see it on the site. To see the presentation the way it's going to be, use the preview button here. And we recommend that you use it often. You can check your work. If you're going to be doing a presentation, using, for example, the live session button, you can rehearse your presentation here. So checking your work, you click on the content box, make sure it opens. Is the image going full size? Are the graphs expanding to full size? Again, big images. Is the GIF GIFing? The GIF is GIFing. And over here, here's the video. Let's make sure that that's playing correctly.
Hi, I'm Pauline Voss, Professor Emeritus at the University of Minnesota. I'm going to talk about ambiguous loss, a term I coined in the 1970s.
So you can check that out. You can also check, of course, the sound file. This is my voice here, so I'll confuse you now by playing my own voice again. But
if you've ever used a computer to create a document or a presentation.
So that's the internal narration. And then I added a link to a website, which will open in a new tab. Here's a chance for my visitors to look at my research references in more depth. Here is the slideshow. Click on the slideshow, it'll open, and you can pause it here and then just take people through it, or just allow them to browse as they want. One button actually that I didn't mention when we were looking at the posters that have been created so far for the conference is the contact author button. You click on this. This is asynchronous communication, but after the conference, after your presentation, as long as your poster is available, your visitors can send you a message. They put in their name, their email address, and the message to you. Often it'll be, can you send me more information about your research? Can we arrange for a chat? Back in the old days when it was on site, then you could actually arrange for a cup of coffee, but that may be a while before that happens again. But anyway, during the period of time that the interactive presentations are available, check your email. You may well be getting some contacts. Let me go back here to the gallery. A couple of the other functions that are available are what you see here on the main toolbar. This is the narration button for the full narration of the whole poster. Whether you're going to take people step by step through your content, or if you're just going to be, if you're also going to be presenting, framing the poster and adding more context, this is where you would do that. The functionality is the same. You've probably recorded your narration on your mobile phone, hopefully with a good microphone, and then you just drag the narration in here. And now we've got a narration that'll appear. There's also, here is a link to an FAQ on best practices for adding narrations. Add author information. Here's where you can talk about yourself, your CV, your team, your institution. Same functionality as everywhere else. You just copy and paste the texts in and add them there. Add videos, add images, add sound files here also. Your abstract's going to be preloaded, but if you want to add additional information, you can do that here and add that there. Disclosures, if you want to give credit to any of your funders, or perhaps you're required to, this is where you would add any kind of information that had to do with that. References, same here. And here's where you can, for in the references, if they're online references, you can link directly to them here also. So use the reference link and just add the link there. And you get the idea there. Felice mentioned the synchronous possibilities of communication. We have two: chat, which is a traditional text chat You'll set up your time. You click here. You add your time. You use the 24-hour clock here, which will allow the system to display the chat time in the time zone that the observer, your visitor is. So here, let's just do it 1830 and pick a day. Save your settings here. I should also show you, as soon as this saves here, there we go. Back to the chat. Here's it for both the chat and the live sessions. This button here, how it works, will show you how it works. So here's how you do the chat settings, personalize your chat information, save the settings, start the chat. That's important to understand that the times that you put in here are the times that will be displayed on the gallery screen for when your chat is available and also when your chat is live. However, the chat will not start automatically. You have to open up your poster and start the chat manually. That will open the chat feature on the posters. So it's up to you to be proactive there. Not only set the time, but also start the chat. The end time is not final. You need an end time there just to kind of inform visitors what your idea of how long you want to chat, but you can keep on chatting as long as you want. So this does not automatically end the chat at all. You can also, once one chat's over, set up a new chat time. There's no limit to the number of chats that you can do moving ahead. And then we have the live session function. It's similar to the chat, but here's where you can make use of any of the online web platforms meeting services, whether it be Zoom, GoToMeeting, Microsoft Teams, Google Meet, WebEx, any online meeting service that has, and by definition, since it's online, there's a URL to that meeting. You add the URL here. You do the same thing here in setting up your times and the date, but then you just add the URL to the chat there. Most of them, if not all, I think, have free services. So if you are, if you keep your live session to under an hour and usually under 100 people, there's no charge for it. So you know, you just add the URL there and you're ready to go. There's the URL or a URL. If you want, you can add a session password. That'll be included in the image that's shown in the content information box that's shown on the poster. And here also we have a how it works, setting up the live sessions, and how it's displayed on the gallery, and then how people will enter it, how your visitors will enter it. So we'll save the settings there. Same thing here, of course, you've got to start the session. It's not going to start automatically. Then we have the image gallery here. And here are all the images that you've uploaded. They're stored in the image gallery. As you can see, I've made this presentation a few times, so there are images that you haven't seen yet. But this is something that, there's two ways of handling images, really, two different, you know, how you, the easiest way for you to control your image work. One is to do it the way I did it here, where you add content and you add images one at a time to your content boxes. You can also, using the image gallery, load all of your images up before you start working. So let me add I'll just add an image here. I'll add, here's a crowd image. So Actually, I loaded an image that's very, very heavy. Oh, there we go. Okay, so here's an image that I just loaded now. You can load all of your images in before you start work, then start adding your texts, and when it's time to load images, rather than having to go to your desktop, all you do is you put your cursor where you want it, click on the Add Image button, but rather than uploading here, you just go to your image gallery and choose the image you want to enter, and then the image is entered that way. So that's up to you how you want to work with that. The image gallery is also nice. Should you accidentally or even on purpose remove an image and then decide that, oh, I wish I had kept that image there, it's still in the image gallery. So you can open the gallery and click on the image and then add it back again into your poster. So that's that. Here's all of our support functions, quick guides, FAQs, cases, just best practices, really, some really nice posters from other fields that we think really show what the system can do. And here are our tutorials. So those are the additional options that you can do here in the main toolbar. Looking up here, this you can upload the logo of your conference, of your institution, I mean, and it's also drag and drop. So here's a logo, and I've loaded that up. If you want to upload additional logos, perhaps your team members come from different institutions, you click on the upload logo again, and then you would, I think I have some, yeah, here's another logo. So now we've got two logos there. If you want to remove one, you click on the logo itself. So now that's gone. If you want to load it, you click on the load button and add it back that way. And as you'll see, these will loop on the poster itself. I'll close the content box again here. And here's where you can upload images of yourself and your team. It's the same functionality. You click on the upload button, and then I just happen to have some photos here, and you load them one at a time here. So now we've got one image, and just add another, and add another. And then the same thing, if you want to remove, let's say you've gotten a better photo of someone, you just click on that and you'll remove it. So we've added a whole bunch of stuff, and let's go back to preview. And again, use preview to check your work, make sure that things are functioning the way they should, use it to rehearse. And now we've got all the buttons that we added down here. Here's the narration button. Again, my voice.
If you've ever used a computer to create a document.
Here are the logos looping, and here are the images looping up here. And here are the, yeah, all of the buttons that we've loaded. Back to the poster once more. If you have been authorized to produce more than one poster, you'll see them here. So you can toggle back and forth. You can go back to this poster and you can choose another template for it and start working on that one. And then you can also go back to the one that you had originally created. So you can toggle back and forth there. You'll be sharing the same image gallery. So as you add images for all of your posters that you've been authorized to all of your interactive presentations, you'll be able to use the same image gallery for that. This is some deadline information, or it's a general message board, actually. I see here, this is an old message, but keep an eye on that for any news. And then there's the publish button. We like you to publish your poster by the deadline. And once you click on that, you will be congratulated for publishing, but keep in mind that you can keep on working with your poster. Any changes you make will be updated on the poster directly. You don't need to publish your poster again. We like you to publish it as soon as possible, again, for us to be able to check for any kind of bad code that has crept in somehow. And we try and scrub the databases as often as possible. But otherwise, keep on. Your iPoster is a dynamic document. You can keep on editing and improving on it until such time as AERA says, this is the end, and it is now a time document. This is a slice of time and a piece of research that was conducted during that period of time. So that pretty much covers the various functions within the iPoster, and I'd be glad to take any questions now.
All right, well, maybe we should all join you and we'll open it up for questions. We have Tony Pauls, our Director of Communications, who better situated to be your voice through the Q&A and chat. Tony, what are you seeing?
Okay, so there are a good number of questions. A lot of them are technical in nature, so I will start with those. Someone asked whether they need to be aware or do anything about images just copied from the internet as far as giving credit, and wanted to know if there are any restrictions as far as source of images used.
Well, I guess there are two answers. One would be from AERA and one from us. And the one from us is that if you're using any images from anyone but yourself, you have to have permission to use them, and you have to follow whatever requirements they have in terms of giving credit. That's just the way copyright works. And you need to be responsible for any content you add, not just images, but even texts. So that's our take on that. I don't know, Felice or Robert, if you want to add to that.
I would say ours is similar. I mean, it's identical insofar as we all know that there is some content available for public use, but you want to be very, just as you would cite and acknowledge in any other form of work, this is a form of your work, and you will want to distinguish between that which you're showing that is yours, and certainly you want to be very clear that you're not using images that have restricted use or costs involved in using those images. Of course, we all face that even in the creation of a creative website, that that we need to be sure it's what's in the public domain, what is protected under copyright, and we want to acknowledge, all of us want to always acknowledge what resides with others and not our own creative words or creative product.
Okay, we have another question about whether all the features are accessible to individuals with disabilities.
We're working on that. We're behind on that. In terms of visual impairments, we recommend that you use the accessibility controls that are available in most browsers these days. I'm working right now in Firefox. If you go to Firefox, and Chrome and Edge and Safari all have similar ones. Under preferences, and many people have this already set up, you can change the font size. You can also change colors. This is black text on a white background. If we say always, then all of the backgrounds here, now I kept it pretty simple actually. Here it is white on black, but it will change. Let's see if we go to here, looking at some of these content boxes, or here, it would change all of the text in this to white on black. There are also speech-to-text functions that are available, but again, those are outside services that we don't provide. You would need to find them yourselves.
Yeah, but let me elaborate, because we're actually, we've been discussing this with Rick since we met.
Yes.
Was in the winter. He is as deeply committed to issues of accessibility as AERA is, and there will be a button to be able to take, not yet available, but I think with the new calendar year and certainly rolling into our 2021 meeting, so that using the black-white contrast or the white-black contrast for better definition, also for increasing font size and other things are being built in to the interactive presentation gallery, and AERA itself is in the process of going one step further than the interactive poster or presentation gallery is our name for it, is offering. So we have and will be downloading all of the voice narration. I'm sorry, yes, all of the voice narration, and we will be transcribing that so it can be read or heard. And the bottom screen will either have narration and a pull down that says voice or read, or hear or read, or it will have two buttons. So we're amplifying upon the current design, I think very much aligned with AERA's value commitments. And I suppose it would be fair to say, had it not been for the tremendous demands on an invention like this post-COVID, this was very much on the 2020 timetable of that Rick had for himself. And of course, there have been dislocations in all kinds of calendars by virtue of both new forms of work and meeting those demands. So this wasn't in any sense an afterthought of iPoster, and it's very much a forethought of AERA. So we have added features to iPoster that AERA is underwriting in order to maximize access in a way, which is why we want to use this at the annual meeting or other events when they're place-based, in a way that a handout never provides, a poster board that's cardboard never provides, and PowerPoint really doesn't either. And that's the functionality. That is one of the raison d'etres that motivated us to embrace this, and in essence also transform it with Rick's blessing and collaboration into it being a modality for community building, networking, and exchange year-long around papers, whether they're given at this year's annual meeting, next year's annual meeting, or other events that AERA convenes. And in a sense, it's a collaborative project with all of you who participate, and we're hoping to spread the word that this is an unusual way and a much more accessible way of doing informal networking worldwide to diverse scholars and to you who are producing this work.
Yeah, thanks for that, Felice. And I want to add another piece that we're working on, which is that right now, in order to access the content boxes or the posters themselves in the gallery, you need to use a mouse. And we're working on a function that will allow you to use keyboard arrows in order to move around and navigate through the poster. So it'll be much easier for people that have physical hand handicaps also to access the content.
And one of the things that Rick also emphasized to me as we were talking about some of the add-ons that we're doing day one, we've already downloaded the voice narrations in order to do a transcription. But one of the things that Rick has emphasized with me and both of us together, or Robert and I and both of us and all of us together, is that this is that we welcome user feedback around all of the functionality, because with Rick turning to those with dedicated expertise, and we too, it's the user experience that we will best benefit from in making this a very dynamic, user-friendly, and inclusive environment for sharing work and for communicating with our colleagues. So it was just in this span of time, we moved from live chats to being able to schedule live sessions, and what that can mean for real-time exchange, where others would be able to actually grab the screen and say, this is like a table or a chart, or I'd like you to see these pictures because it's similar to what I'm doing in my ethnographic work. And it can be quite a multiplier effect beyond anything we would have envisioned in a meeting. And we'll be able to do that innovatively in a meeting. And then obviously you're not going to put the narration on if you're in a symposia, but after the meeting, just as you prepare your paper for the online paper repository, we're going to encourage all those who have papers, doesn't matter where you've presented that paper, in a poster or a roundtable or a symposia, that you then take the time to engage with the post-event community in sharing your work by this interactive mode. And for those of you who have papers in the online paper repository, we will create the crosswalk between your paper and your interactive presentation. And the interactive presentation also has a unique site so that you can, for those who may get to the presentation not through our gallery, but get through it through your Vita or through your own website, you'll be able to post that unique citation.
Okay, a couple people have asked who will be able to access the presentations once the gallery goes live, and for what time duration will the presentations be available?
We're releasing this product in 2020 for the 2021 papers as an open access product. Anyone worldwide can enter it and be part of the viewer and user community. We are starting, and we expect this to be evergreen, forever after. We don't expect to, as long as there's an interest in the papers and products, it's not coming down after 2 months or 3 months. So the presentations are available. We are asking authors to optimally go a step beyond narration and schedule a chat or chats, and potentially schedule a live session through WebEx, GoToMeeting, Google Meetup, Zoom, or whatever the preferred modality. We're not, we want to be supportive of that because we think it's a very creative way of networking and working together. But we don't want that we don't want to say to you, that's forever after. So we thought we would start that with, and benefiting from the discussion last week in our first webinar on this, we thought we would run it for probably, I will say, we're opening, we'll go live on November 2nd. The deadline is October 30th, and we'll probably ask you to schedule your live chats or your live sessions from that time through, I'm going to say something like maybe January 10th or 15th. We recognize it's in many parts of the world a holiday season in December across different beliefs and faiths and commitments, but certainly not all. And so that may be a slower time to participate collectively. So we thought we'd go, I think originally we were going to go to the end of the calendar year. Now we'll probably extend it to June 10th or 15th, but January 10th or 15th. But let me say that if there's greater interest, the reason why we put a deadline on the live chats or the live sessions is to have collective collaboration without feeling that you need to continue this throughout the year, though the presentation itself, the ability to contact you, and other features will remain as long as there's user demand. We don't expect to take it down. We'll be hosting it at least initially and maybe even longer term on the iPoster platform. And this will be one of the assets that's available for year to year. And we'll be doing something rather parallel with the Data Hub AERA is developing with ICPSR to create an interest in using diverse forms of data, that we want to create communities of scholars, and we'll be using this not for a paper presentation, but for a way that scholars who want to join the hub and participate in it and potentially learn more about how to use the various data assets, they can present their work and interests as a way of meeting up.
A couple of other people have asked, how can authors log into the gallery?
I'm going to have Rick handle that, but I want to say that the invites, and some of you, a couple of thousand of you actually, who gave papers at sessions, but you're not all online now, did not yet get the invite. You will. The others of you will get a reminder. We're sending an email to all authors of papers. The invite goes to the first author just to have it land somewhere, not to say the first author is the one who will do it. The first author can switch who will be the presentation creator. And I'll turn it over to Rick to say more about that process.
Yeah, sure. So you'll be, if you haven't already gotten one, you'll get, as an author, a letter of invitation with a link to the login page and a username and a password. I'll just log out here. So you'll come to, the link is to this page, and you'll wind up here, add your email and your password, submit it, and you'll come right into the site and able to create your interactive presentation. In terms of the gallery, the gallery URL will be published by AERA, and you'll just click on the link and you'll come right into the gallery and be able to explore the interactive presentations.
Right. So the product itself is just, will be available through our website, just as the online paper repository is. These are two ways of engaging with scholarly content. This being more interactive and collaborative and ongoing in terms of also work in progress. The paper is available for reading, citation, and also communication with authors.
Someone wanted to know whether the chat sessions would be captured and potentially archived with the session.
Right now, but this will change also for 221. Right now, the authors can save the chats, but the participants can't. We don't have that function, but that will also be changed over the new year, after the new year, so that panelists, I'm sorry, not panelists, participants will be able to save the chats also.
Would the chats be available for public viewing after the fact? No, not in the current mode. However, we will be launching actually within the next couple of weeks, and it'll be added to the presentation gallery or to the posters, the ability comments function, and that will be persistent. It's up to the author, to deal with the comments and remove the ones that they don't like. They can be flagged. But that'll be accompanying the poster as long as the poster is up and the author wants to keep them up.
Rick, what about the Q&A? Is that persistent now if there's questions and answers over time that amplify the presentation? Is that part of the streaming essentially?
That would be the comment function.
Okay, right. Okay.
Yeah, where the author can comment on it and answer any questions that way. I can just show you briefly what that is going to look like. It's a basic comment function that you're probably familiar with, and here it is. So it's just there'll be a comment button down here. You can add your comments. Authors can reply, and you can do threads. And
right, and that remains up.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that is coming soon.
All right. Someone else asked whether it's required to synchronize the narration with the poster sections and slides.
No, there's no synchronization there. You do the narration, and if you want people to follow the narration and look at certain content boxes, then you would just simply say, if you open the introduction box, you will see that, and then explain that, and then just take people through it. But there's no synchronization between the narration and any physical actions in the content boxes.
There's a question about whether there is a limit on video size or length.
No, really good sense, but there is none at all. Videos do not take up any space in our databases. They are streamed from the web live. It's dynamic, but you just have to figure how long will people want to be watching one of your videos. That's the only limitation.
Okay, someone asked.
I just wanted to add, we do encourage it, to do that overall narration, so that someone just wanting to get a sense of how you kind of envision the heart and the meat of what you did, or the basic findings. Each slide can have narration uploaded, or video, or animation, and some do and some don't. And some do and don't do the overall narration. We like the overall narration of something that might be 5, 6, maybe max 8 minutes. If you are, if your primary language is a different language, it can be in dual language. We ask that at least half of it be in English. That overall narration needs to be uploaded as one file, but it could certainly be done by multiple authors sharing, and we've heard many already that do share in that way.
Yeah. And here's an example of just a whole bunch of videos being added here. So again, there's really no limit to what you can add.
Okay, a couple people have asked if after pressing publish, could they start over on the presentation?
Yes, you can. There's publishing does not limit any of the editing capabilities.
Okay, someone else is asking whether there will be any access to this platform outside of the AERA website that could be used to help train graduate students on this style of presentation.
You mean, if the question is, will we have a a demonstration capacity. I think that's a good thing to think about. We certainly didn't, we did not exclude that as a possibility, but we wouldn't see this, we see this product as linking to for AERA, and there are other scholarly societies, many of whom are using it more for the posters and poster products. We're using it more broadly. It isn't a product that AERA has to make accessible for anything other than training related to things AERA is doing. That's our, I suppose one might say that's what our agreement, is, and it relates to AERA events and activities, the annual meeting being the first and major, but not the only opportunity. But just as we say, just as we have for, let's say, graduate students, how do you do a good poster? I suppose we need to figure out how to create a secure space to experiment, but the experimentation is already linked to an accepted paper or an accepted something. So let's say a graduate student whose dissertation was supported by our minority fellowship program that might be participating in a webinar and present, at a conference, virtual or otherwise, and presenting their work, we would have them do it in essentially the interactive presentation gallery, and they've got this restricted site with tools and aids. So I think because it's linked to some paper modality, I think everyone, including graduate students, essentially will have access as long as they're participating in an AERA event that's using this product. You can see I'm thinking through the logic of this as I'm trying to respond to the question. So I'm not even sure we need another secure spot, because anyone with an accepted paper or an invited paper or graduate students participating in an AERA graduate student event would have access to this in just the way that you saw. That's not, they would have a password and they would get a URL and all the guides for how to do it, including live persons if they're stymied in any sense. The reason why I started by saying how user-friendly this is that I can see myself from observing how it's done, not yet having created a poster, but also the greater complexity of trying to use PowerPoint for other modalities. And this is so much built into this is a web product, so it has much more depth of field and capacity than essentially a single plane product, which PowerPoint remains.
Someone is asking whether it would be possible for a group of co-authors to record their presentation on Zoom with their PowerPoint and then upload it to the gallery.
You can't upload a PowerPoint, but what you could do is...
Well, I think the question is they would record themselves along with the PowerPoint. They would record themselves via Zoom, as they show the PowerPoint. They would record all that. Would they then be able to upload that video file to the gallery?
Sure. Yeah, just like any other video file, I would recommend using, again, either YouTube or Vimeo as your video platform. And yeah, that's perfectly acceptable, easy to do.
I suppose it's possible, but I mean, it obviously is possible. I would encourage those still participating to create within this interactive presentation mode, because it will expand your capacity. And in the 2021 meeting that will be virtual, we will be using the creation of an interactive presentation rather than PowerPoint as the, I'd say, the preferred modality of presenting work at the meeting itself. So you've kind of have it cooked already.
Yeah, and there's another aspect to that is that if you're thinking of doing that as your entire presentation, you're missing all of the possibilities of searching through text and metadata and alt labels on images. So your content is not going to be as discoverable or as accessible as it would be if you use the tools that the iPosters include.
And anything that is at the AERA annual meeting that's recorded is already recorded. It seems somewhat redundant of that. So all of the sessions that are Zoomed and recorded through the platform we're going to be offering will be already available. So I'm not sure it's adding much because it doesn't have that interactive dimension unless you use the interactive dimension. It's an interesting question, though, and good food for thought on our parts as well.
Yeah, someone else is asking whether there will be a guide to best practices or tips for authors to maximize the interactivity of their presentations?
Yes, we have a series of mailings that will go out called Tips and Tricks for Making a Great Interactive Presentation. And in each of them, we take up different aspects of using the multimedia tools. So best practices, what to think about when using videos, when adding audio files, narrations, external links, and so on. So that's definitely there. There are also links in that support drop down where you can also see the videos and the tutorials.
Okay, we have a question about whether iPosters come up in Google searches.
No, they don't.
But we're going to assign the DOIs, and once those link to these posters, then those DOIs would be available.
I think it's each one has a unique URL.
URL.
Yeah, not a DOI.
Yeah.
But the URL are discoverable, and the platform is discoverable.
Yeah, but I mean, if you do a search on Google, you'll never find an iPoster there. It can be shared. It can be on different sites and hosted there, but the actual, if you search for sustainable Mixteco Indigena research methodology, you're never going to find this poster on a Google search. You will, however, be able to see it. For example, if you use ORCID or if you use Crossref or any of those meta databases where you have given permission to have your poster discoverable, it will be discoverable there, but not just on a random Google public search.
Now, the gallery itself will be discoverable through Google, just as other of the AERA web pages are.
Yeah, sure. If it's on your web page, then it's entirely possible that it will be. But
and that's sort of this is a presentation that distinguishes it. As I said, you have your unique URL, but the online paper repository, each paper has a DOI that is discoverable.
Mm-hmm.
And that URL will be linked at the in that system so that you could reach it from there. You could go from the paper repository to this presentation in iPoster.
Exactly. And vice versa.
Yeah.
And vice versa, correct.
Okay, someone has asked, once they have created the poster, will they be able to download it for future use or to place on their own website?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's two answers, yes and no. So the no answer is that, well, the yes answer is you can download it. As you see here on this poster, there's a print button. And this is a print to PDF. But if you were to take do a normal PDF of this poster, a PDF is simply a snapshot of the surface of a web page. So if you were to do a standard PDF of this, you'd see everything that we see here, but you would see nothing that's below the scroll line. So you would see none of the content under here or under here. So when you print an iPoster, you're turning it into a document, excuse me, and it looks like this. You'll see the, or you should see, I guess it's taking a while to load, the thumbnail of the poster. And here's all of the content. And what the system does is it extracts all of the content from all of the content boxes and just lays it out linearly. Now, as long as this is a live PDF, an HTML PDF, all of the links will work. But as soon as you load it down to your computer, it becomes a static PDF. So you have none of the dynamic functionality of the poster. All you have is a paper that has all the images and all the texts and exhibits, it'll display the URLs. So that's what would happen if you were to download it. But the posters are going to be available. We never take the posters down, so authors will always have access. So these authors here can always share their iPosters. They can always log into their, where are we here? Oh, I took that away. They can always log into their templates and share it with whoever they want. So it's always available to you, but downloading it is not really an option if you want it to still be dynamic, if you still want to show the videos, if you still want to play the narration files. Obviously, that's not going to work on paper or on a static PDF.
Okay, we have a question about whether you suggest that papers be presented by the 4 parts of a research paper, as was done in the example that was shown.
I suppose I would say that when you're thinking about your presentation, just as you would if you were presenting, you are presenting to a community. So the question is, you're not aiming to read a paper, because if you were aiming to present your paper, you would be putting your paper in the paper repository. This is how you want to present that paperwork, and so you would be thinking about it more as you might present it in a symposia or in a great debate or in a roundtable. Roundtables don't present don't even do a full synopsis of the paper. It's more of a brief overview of, you know, sort of what drove this, what you focus on, if it's a more empirical study, what the nature of the sample or the study sites were, or the data resource, and essentially, you know, what you found. I suppose that kind of covers the 4 big topics, but I would think that the mindset of what we're trying to cultivate in the use of this interactive presentation is how you would present. So if you were coming to a convening that we had of early career scholars, and we said, okay, just in 10 minutes, or maybe in a ed talk mode, take 6 minutes and do a visualization and an oral presentation, you need to kind of think about what your comfort zone is for presenting that paper to diverse audiences in diverse modalities. Now, when you submit or have submitted for the 2021 annual meeting, for example, your paper was either part of a symposia, it may be accepted and you might have preferred being in a roundtable, or you might have preferred a poster presentation, or you might have opted for and asked to be included in a paper presentation. And each of those are kind of about modalities of presentation. I suppose the really exciting part about this is you could switch modalities and decide, well, you know, I really like to be able to show the kind of video clip that maybe I couldn't do as easily in a roundtable, but I can take 6 or 8 seconds and show a segment of that. So I would, yes, you know, presentations of papers bear some resemblance to the paper because you're trying to expose a community of scholars to that work, but, and in that sense, it has the elements of a paper, and I suppose the templates allow for that, but they also allow for inventiveness around that.
Okay, someone has asked whether there is access to iPoster independent of a conference sponsor that can be used in higher education coursework to help train graduate students.
Well, the way AERA is offering it, and I think we'll have Rick respond with respect to the range of institutions and organizations he interacts with, but AERA's relationship with iPoster, that we call the Interaction Presentation Gallery because it's a gallery of all forms of presentations, driven initially by the creative opportunities around the annual meeting and after the annual meeting, but what we will also use for other AERA programmatic events. Whether there are other forms of partnerships with universities that might seek to do so, or even the members of our consortium of university and research institutes, the deans that are part of the AERA family, those might be possibilities, but it's not a product that AERA can offer for other forms of use. We're offering it, and we'll be using it as an exciting opportunity for the networking, the presentation, the community building that are under the AERA's umbrella, which have grown enormously in our vision as we've worked with the invention of this product than we originally saw as being primarily annual meeting driven. And for 2021, as we work this through, it will have, you know, a great deal of emphasis on the annual meeting, but will not be as exclusive use. Rick, how do you?
Yeah, sure. There are a number of universities who use iPosters. Colorado State, University of Arizona, UMass, Drexel. There's a lot of them that use it either for conferences or part of their curriculum. And I would assume that it's okay with AERA for authors to share their work outside of the conference itself if they want to use it in other contexts.
And it's entirely outside. I mean, the whole year-long process is it resides in our gallery. Our gallery is separate from the annual meeting or other events. So it is just the place we're not offering it. We don't have it to offer to members, individual members, to create other content, let's say for a different meeting or a different conference. It's just not, it's not in the nature of our arrangement at this point with iPoster to have it as a member benefit. It's an interesting thing to explore, I suppose, but it wasn't, at least wasn't in the in V1 or 2. I've kind of outlined V1 or 2. I think these questions are really exciting, though, if there's a way of creating this as a member benefit that can be used for members in other forms of presentations and other contexts. And we could work out a V3 opportunity there. Why not? That's what AERA is all about. Stimulating exchange and creativity and knowledge building and sharing.
Okay, the last question I see here, you actually may have addressed, Felice, earlier, but it's worth noting again. I think the question is do authors need to provide a full paper if they are preparing an interactive presentation?
The answer is yes. The answer is yes in terms of paper, in terms of submissions. That there's still the call for submissions which already has passed for 2021 or for 2022. We're not changing the elements of what a paper submission is. It doesn't have to be the final paper. Well, in a symposia, you know, it's a presentation paper. Okay. For the paper submissions, it is a paper that needs to have all the elements of a paper. It's peer reviewed as a paper, and then you create a presentation about your paper. So they're sort of two distinct products, but this isn't substituting a presentation for a paper. This is still paper submissions that are reviewed. Again, I want to emphasize that they need to have all the elements of a paper, but the final paper does not need to be uploaded until usually a month before the annual meeting. And final papers are part of the versioning process. The final paper isn't your publication. Of course, the purpose of presenting it at an annual meeting or a virtual meeting, or even through this interactive presentation, is to gather feedback and to engage in exchange that will then lead you to a published paper or papers. So in the paper repository, actually there's a feature where you can upload the site to your final publication or publications and the DOI related to that. So, so that we really see both the interactive opportunity we're creating here and the annual meeting as really part of the knowledge production and collaboration process with each of you as scholars, your teams, your colleagues, your collaborators, and the wider scholarly community.
Okay, well, that's it for questions. I would note that this webinar video will be posted to the AERA website, hopefully by the end of this week, and that the video of the September 15th webinar that we held is on our website.
And you will be receiving either reminders or invitations for those who hadn't before, or the first authors of your paper, if you were not one of those among the 60 or so, I can't read the first digit, who are still with us. We encourage you to spread the word. We're going to have some demonstrations from those already done so that people can see maybe a dozen or so of them. We think it's a great experiment to do together. We're really trying to serve those involved in the research and the creative research work you're all involved in doing, and have this really kind of marvelous opportunity to create a both presentation space and interactive networking space that we feel with your feedback and collaboration can really stimulate and advance your individual research programs, and collectively we can advance the research enterprise. Don't hesitate to ask questions. There is a dedicated email box, I think, that AERA has, and once you're creating your interactive presentation, there's lots of also support that that Rick and his team provide. But in saying that, we can assure you, if you'd like it, you can have it. But you won't. But in offering it, this will not be an endless need. I think you're going to find it quite intuitive and helpful, and we're here to support your success. So I want to thank everyone. Robert, any further shots here?
Thank you for joining us today. As Felice was saying, it's very intuitive. It's very easy to use. It's exciting because not only will we be using it for 2020 papers in 2021, but in 2022, rather than walking to a room with a large number of poster boards, we'll have video displays. So that's the upside when we see you again in San Diego.
That's great. I just like to add something also something that Felice mentioned earlier, where, you know, if you have any input, any suggestions, any ideas about how we can improve the system, please get in touch with us, because that's what helps the interactive presentations to be better, and that's what we want to do. So you're welcome to come with your suggestions, please.
So, and we always want to thank Karbowski, who's with us for so many of these sessions. Great job, Connie. We really appreciated your presence and welcome your continued participation as well. This is just a central part of all of our programming, and you can almost anticipate what I'm going to say, which is just marvelous. Thank you all. And thanks everyone for joining with us and sticking with us. Don't hesitate to take the plunge. It's a collective public good that AERA is offering. Thanks. And Tony, thank you for being the voice of our participants.